pornirea partidei. Delgado acolo este, va fi corner, dragi ascultători.
Star Wars. These are the Star Wars. Here are some Star Wars. They happened in space. Hello, welcome back to Val Verde Broadcasting in this infrequently occurring trailer discussion format that was recently described as overlong and self-indulgent. I'm Richard Jackson. I'm joined with. That's not a fuck. That's what stupid idiots say on other channels. Joined by my Siamese twin, Duncan Casey, as usual. Today is a day, as you all know, I'm sure, that the new Star Wars trailer dropped for Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. This will be going today on Patreon, and 2 days hence you'll get it on Gen Pop YouTube. So we hope you enjoy that. I have just watched it. I watched it twice. I watched it on the TV, and then I watched it on the computer, as if that makes a difference. I watched it bleary-eyed on my phone this morning, post-wank. I'm yet to feel... I felt nothing. Duncan Casey, what are your thoughts on Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker Wars?
Post-wank is always a bad... of course you felt nothing. You were numb.
True. True.
Yeah.
As my enthusiasm congealed in my bed.
Just like Louis C.K. Sorry. Allegedly. Well, not allegedly. It was pretty... Anyway, it's not the point. The Star Wars is fine, I guess. I saw it, and stuff. It opens to... one thing that became blisteringly apparent for me, and I guess we'll get into all the nitty gritty of it all, but the new crop of Star Wars, so the new trilogy, are all very much plot driven and not character driven, and that's where I think the disconnect has happened, and I think that was true of the prequels as well. So all we're seeing, and all anyone seems to be able to talk about, is like, oh, a thing happened, then a thing happened, and then C-3PO says a thing, and then a thing, and it's like all everyone's talking about is what each moment means for the mechanics of the plot and what events occur, rather than what it means to anyone to whom these events are occurring. And I think that's the disconnect. I think that's what's leaving some people numb. I personally was like, my relationship with Star Wars is this big day glow fun, and I don't take it too seriously. I don't get into the whole minds of Squengle Blah and whatever it is. and I go every now and then, and I watch some big things happen on the screen, and I kind of go, yeah, that was fun. I had some fun, and that's it. And if it manages to keep my attention for 2.5 hours, and I don't fall asleep, then I'm happy, And so I don't care. And it looks big and epic and blah blah, but yeah, it's pretty much where I fall down on it.
Fair enough. Well, let's get into that then, shall we? And you are absolutely right. Actually, I think is that what you intimated you were going to explain when we went on air before we started. You said I've had this kind of feeling about these. Was that what you were driving?
And Nazis on the moon, but we'll get to that.
Nazis
a bit of Iron Sky going on, I think, potentially. So, yes.
Well, I think that just sums up all of Star Wars, doesn't it? Nazis on the moon. So it would appear that the Emperor is back. Mm-hmm. They're going to Endor, it seems, because that was like a rebel helmet, and there's palm trees and stuff. Not palm trees, forests, whatever. They're going to Endor. Something I'm kind of unclear on what actually is happening, other than the rebellions having rebellion. And it's kind of like Return of the Jedi, just like how Force Awakens was like Star Wars. It's like Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi stuff is happening. The Emperor's throne room, the Emperor, the Death Star, Endor. Okay, great, fine. We've got the new cast of characters there. It seems that now they've run out of beloved characters to kill. They're killing C-3PO. which is really like, look, we killed everyone else, man. Time to off the fucking robot. From what I can gather, but looking at that, it looks like they're doing like that, Apple Time Machine thing on him. Because I think the idea is maybe I read something earlier that kind of thought, that adds up, because the other trailer had him with red eyes, so I don't know what that is, but I think C-3PO has volunteered to have his mind erased because they erase his mind at the end of episode 3. I think to get kind of a bit of insight on the Emperor and whatnot, they do an Apple Time Machine on C-3PO's mind, which is like, oh, sir, I want to look at my friends one last time that I've known for 6 months.
Okay.
All my friends are dead apart from my dog, my lanky dog. But, you know, I thought that line didn't land for me, because it's like, in canon, he's known for a couple of years, but it's like, you know, your friends are all dead, apart from Dusty Bin and your stretchy dog.
Yeah, I mean, it seems a bit disingenuous to not hear what C-3PO thinks about the loss of Luke and Han Solo,
and they've barely used him in these films, you know, which I was fine with, because he's had his time, you know, in the spotlight and whatnot. You know, he was extensively used in other movies, but he's barely been in these. And then it feels, I don't know, maybe it's more course correction, because another thing is, you know, they just let Rian Johnson do whatever the hell he wanted, and now J.J. Abrams is, I guess, trying to get his original concept back on track. I've also heard that they're saying they always wanted to bring back Palpatine, which is a bit like, alright, fine.
At this point, that's, you know, alright, fair enough, whatever, I'll take it, I don't care. You know, it's like, you might as well say anything right now, because...
Yeah. So this is it. It's being touted as the end of the main saga. There'll be no
the
more.
end of the beginning. It's the
it's the beginning of the beginning. Stop getting Star Wars wrong. It's the end of the Skywalker saga.
Right.
Now, the Return of the Jedi was that, and you know, the Revenge of the Sith was that, and this entire trilogy involved just pulling something out of nowhere. So I'm not satisfied that in 20 years' time, when, I don't know, Apple buys Disney or whatever weird landscape we're going to live in, they're not going to make episode 10. Why wouldn't they? I mean, I think my reason with the disconnect for these films is that there's no more story there, so everything's had to be this really overwrought contrivance, because the story ended. They finished
character
it.
Arc
they
ended,
did their six,
it?
they finished
that was the problem, is that the universe could go on, arguably, because it was designed that way, but the character's finished, and then what is there?
Well, I mean, any universe can go on unless you specifically have some kind of deity come and end reality. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just sort of like, so you know, these got made because a company wanted some, you know, Disney bought Lucasfilm, went, we want more Star Wars films. It's not because a bunch of creators are sitting around going like, oh my god, we've got it. There's more Star Wars. They even bought George Lucas's pictures and threw them out. You know what I mean? So George Lucas may have had the ideas he says he did, and they bought his pictures and didn't use them. So, you know, these exist for no reason, and that's one of my kind of frustrations with The Force Awakens. Was it was a fun ride at the time, but it's just Star Wars. It's just a remake of Star Wars because you've got no more story left, and I can just hear all the Star Wars fanboys' dicks twitching as they race to their keyboards to tell me like what an awful, wasteful human I am. But there you go. I'm tired, man. I've been getting up early all week. I've got loads of projects on. I'm a bit burnt out, and I'm taking out on these kids on their Star Wars. It's too loud and it's too bright. And I don't like.
Yeah, I mean, I feel a similar way at the moment. Sort of, It's a bit of entertainment. I mean, I don't care. I'm not going to get my knickers in a twist over it all. I mean, I really feel like at this stage they've kind of. I really did. I mean, I've said this before, but I think the last film squandered the goodwill with regards to the original characters in many ways. I didn't mind. I mean, again, you know, I didn't really care, but it was a shame not to have, you know, Luke, Han, and Leia back together. But whatever. And this time around, I'm just kind of like, you know what? I don't care. There's a lot of spaceships and laser sword fighting, and I guess that's all. I mean, one thing I'll give, you know, I'll say to its credit is that it's almost like a proof of concept. It doesn't show. I mean, for all my criticisms of it of being just plot driven as a trailer, it doesn't seem to give that much away anyway. You know, other than obviously fucking, you know, laser sword fights between two people who then apparently seem to maybe team up perhaps again. You know, it's like the whole Rey and Ren of it all, G-Ren. They do a fight again, and then they maybe don't do a fight, and then remember in the other trailer when she was evil and bad and had like what looked like a sort of laundry era that was a lightsaber. or something.
Volcano mission.
Yeah,
Ray.
volcano mission rays.
We're not going to make another toy out of that. Aside.
Yeah. But it sort of speaks to the kind of like, I'm starting to wonder if the red letter media prediction is going to be true. Because my
Well, the time travel thing.
Ah?
The time travel thing. Is that what they said? Did they have the time travel theory?
Because I look at it and I go like, do you know what? Some of this is starting to... It's either Nazis on the moon, which is, in other words, like Palpatine, because there's that thing of the Star Destroyer coming out of the water or the ice or whatever it is, like it's been there all this time waiting. Or it's time travel, and I wonder if C-3PO has something to do with
it. Yeah, true. Well, this is the thing. I mean, because like a kind of likely / unlikely leak of episode 9 stuff has been Kevin Smith, who is a motor mouth. You know, God love him, bless him. He's a sweet dude, man. But like, he is friends with JJ and whatever. And it seems that he was on the set, and I think he was visited as far back as Force Awakens. He was visiting sets because he just likes all things and is therefore wheeled out by any production to tell the geeks that the thing's going to be all right, even though it probably isn't. He's kind of like the Lord Haw of pop culture. but he said that there was one set built at Pinewood or Shepperton. I always get that mixed up. One set was built in, let's just say, England, that he visited, and the crew said to him, "You can't go on that set because it will spoil the whole end of the movie and it will blow your mind." And then J.J. Abrams said to him as well, "You can't go on that set because it's the final shot of the movie and it just blows everything to pieces." So what we have to go on there is that one physically constructed set contains enough information for a person to physically walk into it out of context and have the whole film blown open. I hope. Do you think it's just a huge billboard that says "Raise a Robot"? Or like, it's just a massive advertising billboard that just has a spoiler written on it. That would be
it's
wonderful.
A chair with Ash in it, and it turns around and he goes, "Hey, you guy, do you think Rey is a rapper?"
Star Wars Episode 404. Found.
Yeah, man. Well, quite. Yeah,
So
exactly. I mean, what does that tell you?
The other thing to remember is, as someone who's complaining about Star Wars, this seems like a thing I shouldn't be doing. However, I know that in the Star Wars Rebels cartoon show, they introduced time travel to Star Wars.
Right.
For like the first time. Like they're, as far as I'm aware, because I haven't read, again, as you've referenced, the well-loved Chronicles of Mendar, episode 19, The Trials of Skendench, Skirmbler. So time travel, it seems, is now canon. And you know what? People have, I think, even, I don't want to revisit that, but Kevin Smith himself has cited Endgame whilst discussing Rise of Skywalker. So maybe there is maybe the set is just like a TARDIS, a DeLorean, a telepod, a Stargate, all just shoved in one room. I
did wonder,
or a giant Emperor
I did
Palpatine
posit that idea that the fucking DeLorean would show up at some point, just because why not at this point?
Why not? I mean, it's possible. I would suppose. I will say this much. I mean, I don't doubt how much J.J. Abrams loves Star Wars. I mean, any less than I doubt how much I love porn. It doesn't mean I'm going to make you watch me watching it. So, you know what I mean? So no worries. You're very welcome. I feel like it could have this kind of cathartic, passionate thing where all these things come to a head, but the whole thing has been so bungled. So I think it's something that's been bungled. It came from a great, like, Force Awakens, as much of a reach as it was a good layup in terms of tone and where it put the characters, and then Return of the Jedi, The Last Jedi, just fumbled it completely because there was no editorial in that, it felt, and it was just a weirdly paced sort of 5 out of 10 boring movie. And then J.J. Abrams, who come up with all this stuff with Lawrence Kasdan, now has to bring it all back round in one film. So, like, the trailer for Last Jedi was Kylo Ren smashing up his helmet. The trailer for Rise of Skywalker was him fixing his helmet. Last Jedi, Rey's lightsaber gets destroyed. Return of Skywalker, she's got it back. You know what I mean? It's all these course corrections. And then again, I want it because she's got It was Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber was destroyed, and she's got it back. Did she get it out of a time hole?
That's the concern. I mean, there's stuff.
That was great. That was so pensive.
There's a thing in the trailer where they're like, you know, C-3PO does this thing, and then Rey and Chewie are in the Falcon, and they're leaving, and on the dash of the Falcon, there's this sort of weird, spinny, vortexy thing, like that looks like a sort of plug-in or whatever. You know,
flux capacitor type deal,
is
right?
it time circuits? Is it, you know, who knows? You know, so it's kind of like, oh, please don't. But I how else do you explain friggin' Palpatine or any of that shit? I mean, obviously there's still the wreckage of the Death Star, but
which should have been like vaporized, right? It was this insane explosion, and it runs on magical crystals that used to power their laser swords. Shouldn't the whole thing have?
Well, we saw it explode from the inside out. You would, I mean, I guess bits of it might have fallen onto Endor.
Because they're stood in the throne room. I mean, but there is like, she looks at that throne, right? So surely that's Palpatine's throne. Did he? Because this is the thing: when you undermine a character death like that, it just breaks the whole thing. Because you know then nobody's dead. How do we know he's dead this time? Unless like Daisy Ridley cuts his head off, and then Kylo Ren skull fucks his brain out in like an 8-minute sequence.
And also,
and then someone stomps on his skull.
It undermines the catharsis of Darth Vader effectively sacrificing himself to kill Palpatine and save his son, doesn't it? I mean, if Palpatine's just like, I'm okay now, like, you know, so what? And then he sort of might be in a
Palpatine used the fucking Konami code.
Well, didn't we think about that? Like, he was falling down, thing going up, left, down, right, up, quick.
Hold A, press start. Oh no, that's a hedgehog. Sorry.
So I mean, you know, but then apparently, like when there's that shot of what looks like him approaching Rey in what might be a kind of mech suit type dealio. Which is just like right.
Right.
Yeah. So don't know on that one. Look, part of it as well is that I think a lot of it's a desire to see certain things. So it's like that shot of them all riding horse-like creatures along a Star Destroyer. Is like, I just think that someone's gone, oh, I'd love to see that. Yeah, but it doesn't seem to have much. Like it needs to be there, you know. It's like, of what use is that? What are you going to do? Run up to the door? And go, oh, let me in.
Well, it's something, you know. Red Letter Media, very much being the Simpsons did it of internet film criticism. You know, they created their own meme with their Nerd Crew thing. What is it they say? Like, I know what that is, because it's just parades of stuff. To make you go, oh, the second Death Star, oh, a battle droid, oh, but
well, like I say, it's just plot driven. You know, this doesn't seem to mean anything to any of the people in it. I mean, you see shots of Finn and Leia and certain people looking kind of upset about something, but it doesn't seem earned. It doesn't seem like that anyone really gives a toss.
Sound and fury signifying nothing. I don't know. I mean, this is the thing. I will say, look, this is the highest. I mean, on a technical standpoint, this is the highest tier of filmmaking currently in existence. From a technical standpoint, I'm not interested in saying, oh, well, actually, independent films. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that in terms of the money thrown at it, the best visual effects artists in the world, you've got some of the best camera crews in the world, one of the best composers in the world. You know, it's not the best direction. I'm not saying it's the best film ever made. People love to misinterpret that kind of stuff. This is the top tier of big budget filmmaking. That is what that is. And on that level, a bunch of people have done a load of work that they're going to be really proud of. There's going to be loads of like great design work and art direction. All that's going to be great. And looking at the shots in this trailer, like as from a filmmaking perspective, there's some amazing visual effects and camera movements and all the rest of it. It's all for nothing if the script's no good, and even if the script is good, it's the ninth part in something that was artificially resurrected once already before. So why should we? I mean, you know, like you said about the catharsis of Vader killing the Emperor, but it turns out the Emperor was alive because he escaped in a hamster ball or whatever. It's my whole. What I didn't like about these was our heroes defeated the Empire, and then were thrown into 30 years of failure and misery. And then it's kind of like, oh, well, actually, because Luke's arc is redemptive. No, he's been stuck on a fucking dirty island for 30 years drinking blue milk. Han and Leia broke up, have been drifting. Han Solo has not changed as a person, and now he's dead. Like all that stuff, and then it's built on shaky foundations for me. And
I think that
I'm so numb to being Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean they clearly, and this does go as far back as Force Awakens and in JJ's, that this notion of the past having to die and needing to move on and sort of patricide and all that kind of thing. It's like, well, that's clearly supposed to be some sort of theme you're going for and trying to, we're creating the next generation of Star Wars. But it's like, but they're not. They don't feel in any way, unique or special. I mean, Rey is just, it's not. I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon of the usual criticisms of her, but I just don't think. I don't mind Daisy Ridley, and I don't mind. That's all fine, but it's like it's not. She's not really been given anything to care about. I don't really feel like she's the sort of urchin with nothing to lose, and she still feels like she has nothing to lose. I don't really feel like she's.
Yeah, and even more so after the Last Jedi, where they say, "Oh, your parents were bums," which they're going to want back. She's going to be a clone of Palpatine, or she's going to be the lost Skywalker kid. She's going to be something.
Yeah.
Because again, they could pretend it was all clever writing. There was no editorial on Last Jedi, so the guy just did whatever he wanted. So yeah, she's going to be, because that thing of her with the red lightsaber and stuff, maybe that's an alternate timeline or a vision.
Maybe she's a clone,
but there's no way she's. Yeah, I've heard that, because the whole thing from the expanded universe thing was that Palpatine made cloned vessels for himself to go into in the event of his death. So maybe it's that. But I just kind of don't. Well, this is it, isn't it? It's just sort of like, for fuck's sake, like, yeah. I mean, this is. Again, in a kind of, I had this sort of, I tweeted something similar to this, and it's sort of like, if I could send a message in a bottle back to my 15-year-old self, my 50-year-old self would have a fucking aneurysm. It's like, oh, what's 2019 like? It'd be like, well, your hair fell out, but the Terminator's in Mortal Kombat 11, Terminator 6 is coming out, and Star Wars 9 has the Emperor back in it. And she's like, wait, what? And then I'd go back in the time hole and blow my tiny little 15-year-old mind. But what 15, 16-year-old me wouldn't know was that I just wouldn't care anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like I say, I think I don't think it's because we're old. I think it's because they genuinely haven't. They've not managed to capture. I think they've really made spreadsheet decisions in terms of. I think there's the razzmatazz which sort of paves over the cracks, but I do think it's like it's very hard. They've really struggled to get people to care for these characters in the way that the original trilogy did. And when you look back at the film that's held up as the kind of bastion of great Star Wars stuff is Empire, and it's like that's all character driven. If you look at the way that ends, the way that whole film, it all hangs on character. It's all story. It's story around character. It's all about Luke learning and failing and on a hero's quest and all that sort of stuff. And again, that's almost patricide in the sense of he sets out to kill someone who turns out to be his father, and then it's like there's questions brought up around that, like what that means, and and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, there's none of that here. It's like maybe your parents are, maybe they're not. Who gives a shit? Bye now, bye. It's like what? Like, but hey, look.
It has the feeling of mental gymnastics. It's they've desperately had to forge a story out of nothing, which is kind of how I feel. A film which, when this hits YouTube, you and I will have both seen, but we're both seeing Dark Fate tomorrow separately. And that's another thing where, well, yeah, you just wanted another one, so you've had to pull this out of your ass, because Terminator 2 very clearly closes that loop, right? And now just James Cameron being back is not the point. And with these, even if you told me George Lucas was back, it's not really the point.
I gather he was back.
There's nothing left.
Wasn't he?
Well, as I say, yeah, he was. Yeah, they basically bought his pictures and said, "Yeah, we'll buy your pictures, and we're going to make these." And then they had another meeting with him, kind of went, "Yeah, we're not using these, but enjoy your $6 billion."
Yeah, okay.
which I'm sure he was. I mean, he kind of. I'm not going to say bless him, but he was kind of hurt over. But it's like, you got $6 billion. You didn't have to sell anything if you didn't want to. Either way is a win-win. Financially speaking, I know that's not necessarily good for the soul, but let's be real here. But it seems the barest bones of his treatments were that kind of orphan girl, stormtrooper boy, blah blah stuff was his.
Oh, okay.
But,
yeah.
we must remember. But Lawrence Kasdan came back for these, or at least The Force Awakens, and he co-wrote, Star Wars and whatnot. So I don't know, Duncan. Really, mate. I don't know. It's just jaded, numb fucks.
I mean,
but then no, I didn't ask for these.
No, I feel a bit
know.
remiss in that we haven't really dissected it and stuff. But then there's lots of people who have done that online, and again, I just, like I say, I've seen people like, oh, look, if you pause it at this point, you can see the mine of Splendly Blah in the background, or you can see now she's on a planet, and now it's an ice planet, and now it's a rainy planet, and now it's a forest planet, and now it's a desert planet, and is that Jakku, is that Baku, is that Agabadagadu, who knows, but blah blah blah. Is it Agadu? Xanadu, I don't know, but that and you kind of, I'm not interested in picking it apart like that, because I'm like, well, what does it mean for the characters? This is what I mean. It seems like a lot of the focus seems to be on, oh my god, what does that mean? Does that mean this happens in the plot, or that happens in the plot? And it's like, do you care? You stop and ask yourself, do you actually care?
If you do want that, there's this is a thing, isn't it? It's just kind of, that's the ship from this show, and that's the column from the ancient Temple of Shmer, and it's just like, well, the thing is with as well, when you watch all those, and Mr. Sunday Movies does those very well with a lot of humour. And I like his channel a lot. I like him a lot. So that kind of stuff he does really, really well.
I'm not suggesting that people shouldn't do this, of course. So don't misunderstand.
No, of course, of course. No, of course, no, absolutely not. And neither am I. What I will say is, what people tend to not do particularly, and a lot of people do this, but some people tend to not do, is watch those again after the film comes out. And if you're ever sat around on the sofa and YouTube's an autoplay and you're sat there eating bloody popcorn chicken or whatever, and then suddenly the trailer analysis for Solo comes on when you've seen Solo, it's just sort of like all that stuff's kind of like, this is the ship from such and such, does this mean this character's going to be in it, and here's the Temple of blah blah, and it's like, it's all set dressing. None of it has, tends not to have any kind of real impact. It's just set dressing and doesn't really mean anything, other than flogging fucking t-shirts or whatever. So even getting into that, it is fun to do. And again, someone such as Sunny Movies, who I'm citing, because he does it with the kind of real humour and warmth. I think that's what makes that channel work really well.
Totally, yeah.
Unlike this blackened shame pit that we call
this event horizon of hope that is Val Verde broadcast. Yeah, no, and
no smiles can escape.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. If that's the sort of thing that excites you, and you're going to go in and enjoy this, then more power to you. I really don't. Like I say, I don't have that much skin in the game of these things, and as I'm sort of getting on, I'm sort of tending to find that I don't care. I mean, there's so many of these revival things going on. I don't care if it's bad. All right, whatever. Like it's we've still got Star Wars, haven't we? So who gives a shit?
Yeah, exactly. That's not going anywhere. So that's fine. Like that's the thing. I mean, I think it's a shame, really. So there was a time, because I remember when I was like an undergraduate, like we had, even though we'd already survived episode 1 and 2, like episode 3 was coming out and someone got like a free Darth Vader poster from Empire, we slapped it on the wall and we were all talking about it and like, this is going to be the one that turns it round, and we'd still get excited about images of Death Stars and stuff, and it was all fun. And I remember going to see it at midnight. I mean, that film wasn't so good, but there was a time when I was excited for that stuff, and I still am, like, to a degree. But like, even when like a new Star Trek's coming out, like I liked the first JJ one, not the second one. I thought the third one was alright. I'm into Star Trek. We got Picard coming. I'm just a bit like, I'm just like that beaten dog, just
you
too
mean
jaded
like
to sort of accept it.
I mean, no, I'm joking. I don't beat Winston.
He's just the sweet corn of Captain Picard going down my esophagus. I need to be surgically removed. Yeah. Well, we are closing on 30 minutes, where we normally wrap those up in our overlong, self-indulgent podcast full of too much banter and badly recorded sound. News. Minus the power pack. News. Out of context partridge. So I think let's kick this in the head then. You are listening to Val Verde Broadcasting. If you did come this far, thank you very much. We have a new show out every Monday called It Ain't Broke, where we do a half-hour on-camera review of old movies, except the next one, which is going to be a new movie, which is Terminator Dark Fate. You dirty
you dirty shit,
which Duncan and I will be doing. You dirty Doily shitter. You can support us following the links below. Where's Amazon affiliate link? We have a PayPal tips jar. We have got a red button store to buy merch. We are on Twitter. We are on Facebook. Go find us. Go seek us out. Give us a like and subscribe if that's how you roll. And a big thanks to the 2 people that always thumbs down our videos as soon as they're released. It all counts as engagement, so thumbs down away, my friends. Any final closing remarks there, Duncan?
Mr. Black. No.
Mr. Black.
Mr. Black. No, none from me. Go see it. Don't go see it. I don't mind it. I think it's going to be fun, actually, so that's cool.
There you go, then. Throw your comments below, and we will see you again soon. Support your 7th or 8th favourite YouTube channel by buying crap, tat, junk, hogwash and filth at redbubble.com/people/Val Verde Shop.